So spinach $3, radishes $2, you know. You could probably get higher prices at the farmer's market, but we're creating a really nice CSA box here. I would say a lot of these prices are a little bit low, but we could raise them, you know. But that's a value about $26 for this box, right? So it's kind of like you're designing what's going to go in each box each week for each customer for the whole season. So it gets complicated. So here's your next share. So you see what I mean? Every share, a little bit different, but lettuce is consistent. So we're getting a couple of root vegetables. In end of June, hopefully we got some cucumbers. If you're doing it in a greenhouse, it's possible, not in the field, okay? We might get some summer squash. All these things are happening, right? So this is where the big production starts increasing, right? So now we're seeing some really nice stuff coming up from our gardens. End of June, and then July is looking really, really good.
That's a huge CSA box too for a week. Oh, I guess it's a family, right?
Yeah, that's a CSA box. That's typically what we see. So that's why some people like half shares.
Yes.
If they're just a couple of people, a half share works better. Full shares, they're more like families. And you can actually get two if you want, right? If you have a really big family with 10 kids or something, right? Holy moly.
Yeah.
All right. So this goes from July to October. So this is the peak of your season. You've got lots of produce that you can select and put in your boxes. But spring was lean, okay? And then when we get into October, it starts getting less, right? You got less choices.
Is it still gonna tell us how many beds we're gonna need?
Yeah.
Okay, thank goodness.
Yeah. So this is October, so the season is going down, but you've seen that they've added some grains, they've had eggs in there, they have some dairy. It's kind of cool. So some farmers, what they do is they partner with other farmers, and that's kind of what we're doing. If we can work together, like this, for instance, some of your produce that you're growing can go into the CSA shares, right? And you guys have some curry turnips. Man, we can harvest that next week, put it in the CSA box, and they're going to be beautiful. People look at that and say, what's that? What are we going to do with that? They probably don't know what a curry turnip is, but there's a certain bit of education. So it's good to have like recipes in the box, right? It's a little bit extra work, but it goes a long ways to keeping everybody happy. Because if they end up with some, like patty pan squash, and they're looking at it, so they don't even know what it is. It looks like a little flying saucer. So you see what's going on? Basically, week by week, you've got to figure out what's going to go in the box and what the value is going to be, right? All the way, this one's going for November. Oh man, we're going to November, and it goes on and on. So the next thing is, once you decide what's going to go in the boxes, you got to decide how much you got to grow, right? Of each, right? So this is not that hard. If you grow a cabbage like that, you could probably feed an army. All right. I love that picture. So general rule is basically grow more than what you estimate, because more likely your germination won't be as high as you anticipated. Like I recommend seeding 30% more seeds in the ground because of poor germination. Some seeds will give you better germination than others, but then even if it does germinate and grows, it could be wiped out by some pests, right? All right. So looking at decide how many heads of broccoli or cabbage you want to give and grow 10% more, account for loss, right? And then looking at carrots, estimate one big bunch of carrots or turnips per row foot, okay? So not only are you estimating how much you need for each box, you have to estimate your yields, right? So the other day when we were looking at Hickory turnips in Jessica's bed there, we're looking at, there was probably 5 Hickory turnips per foot, you know? So I think I'm guessing here, so there was every 2 feet, we're looking at maybe 10 Hickory turnips, and the row was about 40 feet, and we had 4 rows, and we figured out of that we could get about 40 pounds of Hickory turnips. And a pound of Hickory turnips would probably be about 5 turnips, right? So that's how you do it. And so you can actually estimate your yields per row, okay? So you'll know, you can better estimate what you're going to have available. Now, again, the weight of these bunches depends on the variety and the crop that you're, like a pound of radishes, usually you sell like a half a pound of radishes. Like a pound of radishes would be like this, it'd be like way too much radishes, right? So you try to put it in quantities that are make sense for the customer. So if it's a half a pound and you're selling at $4 a pound, that's be like $2 a bunch. Follow? Okay, Hickory turnips are really good, but again, all these things weigh differently. You'll have to get a better feel for.
Is it $4 a pound for root vegetables?
Pretty much, that's what I like to keep it at. Some vegetables you can ask a little bit more, some a little bit less, right? Chard kale, plant at least 4 plants per member. So for each CSA share, you're gonna put 4 Swiss chard plants, you'll put like 4 kale plants, so that you'll be able to harvest throughout the season. Now, kale and Swiss chard is like cut and then it'll grow again. So you get a continuous yield off of these. But there's a limit. And the potatoes are like a staple, right? And people like to have potatoes in their CSA share. Onions and garlic are also included in almost every basket, so plan for 2 bulbs of onions at least, and 1 bulb of garlic per basket. In the early spring, you can do green onions, right? So we do pretty good with green onions. I'm actually quite pleased with how well that's going. Herbs can go in every basket, right? So we're gonna shoot for at least 1 herb per week. These are the four top ones, okay? Right? Those are the ones people will love to have.
Cilantro, basil, dill, and parsley?
That's right, basil. Basil's a big one, that's like the king. But cilantro, it's another acquired taste. You know, I'm gonna kind of question that one. I would say cilantro is probably in the occasional one of the herbs, but it's dill is another one if you're doing some preserves, but people like it, right? They can use it in their cuisine, like any chef can use all those. Thyme, rosemary, are all really nice herbs to have for chefs, especially fresh rosemary. Tomatoes are really good. In the field, you're going to have to grow more tomato plants in the field because the yield is not as high in a greenhouse. So you can see it's 4 times more productive in a greenhouse than in the field, right? So you're going to have to put 4 plants per customer in the field to have enough tomatoes for your CSA. And peppers and eggplant, okay? Grow 2 plants per CSA member. Some plants you may get up to 8 eggplants off of it. We're growing the Japanese type eggplants. They're the sort of long, skinny, slender ones. Yeah, great. Some people prefer these. I do. I like these because you can slice them up and they're really fantastic in eggplant parmigiano. So sweet corn, estimate 2 ears per plant. You might get 1 more, but better to go to hedge your bets and be a little bit, I guess, be conservative. You know, you're going to say that I'm only going to get 2 per plant, but if you get 4, great. And you want to give 4 ears per share, So in their last share, we put 3